All right. This is Mark Edward Ochterman, or an image thereof, coming to you on what is to me the 1st of October, 2022. And I have just read, and perhaps you have watched and listened to, the first letter to the Thessalonians. This is part of our Homestead Village Church of the Apostles Lancaster Bible study. We'll be starting this in November. And so Thessalonians is, well, let's start with to whom the letter is addressed. It is to the Christ believers in Thessaloniki, which is still an existing place. It's in now I think it's in the nation of Greece, but it was part of it was the capital, in fact, of the Roman province of I say it Macedonia, but Macedonia. The assignment of this, that this is called the first letter, is really doesn't have to do with any content of the letter particularly. It's just the longer of the two, and the structure of the canonical letters was by length. So, or the canon of the letters as they were put together was by length. So the longer one came first. It's a fairly straightforward letter, I think. It spends a lot of, it's kind of a chatty letter, actually, not very heavy on content, but the content that is here is kind of interesting. So the main points that are brought up seem to have to do with questions that the Thessalonians raised and sent to Paul. So there are questions about proper sexual conduct, how they should care for each other, what happens to dead people, and particularly dead members of the faithful, and how this relates to Jesus' return, which now we've come to think of as being something, maybe a far distant future. But certainly in Paul's day, this was thought of as being something that could happen at any moment. They really anticipated it as being during their lifetimes. And so that's, a point of interest and a point of concern. Most of the rest of the letter is really sort of praising the Thessalonian community for doing a good job and for being supporters of Paul and Silvanus and Timothy. There are a few points that sometimes do come up in other contexts. The reference to the breastplate of faith and love, and the helmet of the hope and salvation mirror some of this, the full armor of God that Paul talks about in other letters. I think this is one of the, I think that there are several places where the thief in the night is used. Matthew has a passage that's somewhat similar, and the second letter to Peter, or the second letter of Peter, has a similar idea. But I think the phrase "the thief in the night" is copyright, so to speak, in this letter. So it's not really a meaty letter, which is okay. We can concentrate on essentially the substance of the letter is in the 4th and 5th verses, so we can really place most of our attention there. Yeah, that's kind of on a light analysis, but I'll leave it at that.